Hi everyone, welcome back to Spiritual Growth Tarot. I'm Denise and this reading is for Thursday, December 31st, 2020, New Year's Eve. Woohoo! Okay, so dropping into the cosmic intelligence of the universe, universal laws of love, which are also truth and wisdom. Ooh, we had this earlier. Was it yesterday? The day before? Okay, so here's our theme. That's the Eight of Swords. We have the Wheel of Fortune. And one more card. Ooh, the Magician. Excellent. Okay, so with the Eight of Swords is the theme. That's our guidance as to not holding ourselves back. It's also our guidance for understanding that we create our own little self prisons. You know, our own little self-created prisons are are actually pretty much that and our karma, which we can always heal, and that's what we bring in every lifetime in order to heal. So we have a lot of free will, and I have to, reiterate that because we have the Wheel of Fortune here. We have a tremendous amount of free will in each and every lifetime, and to understand that will help us get out of our own little self-created prisons. Now, our self-created prisons are just full of false beliefs. Truly, that's pretty much all it's about. They're full of real and false guilt that that we've carried in from past lifetimes, which would be what we did based on the false beliefs that we carried, and then what we nurtured and grew. Like you can have false guilt for, like, let's say you had a child or a family member that you were connected to, you were a primary caretaker for, and let's say that you were in a position where you couldn't do your best for some reason or many reasons, and as you grew older, you felt you felt bad for that. You felt that you could have done better, and you see how you didn't. Well, as soon as you realize that, and as soon as you tell that person you're sorry, then there's no need to carry that guilt further. There's no need to, tie into this place where you're stuck. Because if you do, then you will create some real guilt. Also, real guilt can be, from when you actually did something negative in a past lifetime, but in this lifetime you're running from it and you don't want to address it. And I don't think that there are many people like that who would be watching my channel. I think we're talking more about like major politicians and people who abuse their power. And they're afraid of getting caught. So they go into that victim, oh, poor me kind of thing, and the world is bad. But the truth is that we create our own reality. And these two cards are perfect to show us that. Now, on another level, false guilt comes in when we won't forgive ourselves and when we won't say that we're sorry. But then on a deeper level, we have to remember that, at least it's what I believe. I mean, of course, you don't have to believe anything that I believe, but I believe that we choose our parents. So the child or the sibling or the person that you were a caretaker for, if things didn't go right and you made your mistakes, know that soul, for some reason or another, needed to experience that in order to come face to face with it. Now, this does not in any way, shape, or form give make the child or the person that received, anything less than love, that doesn't make them like the victim that should continue to think that they were guilty, because that's not how it works. But it does create the opportunity for every soul to meet their false beliefs about themselves and about life, and to learn how to love themselves in a much more comprehensive way and in a fuller way. And then most of all, because we have to remember that all the eights have to do with empowerment, this one would be the empowerment of the mind and the communication. So as we come back home to who we truly are, and we understand that it's our false beliefs that brought us into, to incarnate into certain soul families and certain geographical locations and certain specific situations, even if they were just for temporary, like maybe a foster home that was kind of temporary, or or not temporary enough, and you really needed to stay and you had to leave. Whatever the circumstances were, there's going to be pain around it, and we need to meet the pain. And that is exactly how we unravel the whole thing. That's how we take off these ties that bind us. When we decide that we want to, notice there's a mirror here. When we want to look inside and see whatever our part was. Now, the cool thing is, or not the cool thing, the challenging, well, it's cool and challenging. Let's imagine that whoever betrayed you or kept you stuck or, helped in this situation, let's say, because it's usually, the case, that they're 80% guilty or 99% guilty. Well, our power, our personal power, only lies in finding that 1% where we were connected, or that 20% where we were, connected. So that's how we bring our power back. And we find that by finding the affinity, under the law of affinity and like attracts like, where we find how, whatever was our collusion, right? So, for instance, in my case, I incarnated into a family where my mother was very loving in the beginning, but at 9 she started drinking. I thought she was very loving, but then again, here I had a grandmother who was not that loving, and told my mother that I needed to be on a feeding schedule. So I was like a schedule-fed baby, like from infant on. So I had to look at the places inside of me that made me feel like I didn't matter. And once I did that, I was able to, forgive my mother, and I was able to understand why I would feel that way. Not that I would, not that I like really cut her any slack. As I got older, I still confronted her all the time about her drinking and her smoking. It did no good, but the more I taught myself that I mattered, the more I looked into the mirror and understood why I would have those beliefs. Well, of course you would if you had, caretakers who didn't even feed you when you were hungry, or they woke you up when you were finally asleep, after you'd finally screamed yourself asleep, then they'd wake you up to feed you because that was the 4-hour schedule, And some awful pediatrician wrote a book about that, and a bunch of parents jumped on board with it. And so there was no bonding for a lot of children that grew up at that time. And I was born in the mid-50s, 54. So I'm not alone in that, and I'm not alone in the area of having an alcoholic parent or a workaholic parent. I had both. So whatever, diving into all my wounding and all my pain, and then looking into the mirror and saying, well, wait a minute, I can turn this around, because I don't have to believe their lies about the way they made me feel. That was just them projecting their childhood wounding onto me. So that's when we do that work, that's when we take charge of our free will and we decide which way we want to go. But we can't get there without meeting the pain first and without questioning the false beliefs. Now, like I've said before, you never want to get into a mental state when you're feeling pain. When you're feeling pain, just go through the pain. Just be with it and go through it and breathe and release it. And you're freeing up life force when that happens. You know, you're clearing out emotionally reactive material that that will free up life force, and now the life force will flow through you, and you'll be healthier, you'll connect the dots better, your intuition will flow, you'll be in better timing with the universe, and then you get to the point where you realize over and over and over again all your life that you're the one that creates your own reality, and you can always start over. In fact, you're the only one that can do that for yourself. You're the only one that can grieve your childhood. You're the only one that can say, hey, wait a minute, this probably isn't true. I think I'm in some type of a false belief, and I need to understand what that's all about and turn it around, right? So I turned mine around by saying, well, if I'm here and I'm breathing and I'm in a body, I must matter, because I took the word matter, literally, right? So that one's pretty easy. And then later on, I was able to, forgive even more deeply and actually have compassion over, my parents, because I had to understand what they must have overcome. And they did. They overcame incredible, issues. So anybody can do this work. If I can do it, anyone can. And as we do the work, we continue to recreate, we continue to not always be on top, but we change the wheel. I mean, this wheel is all about good fortune. That is literally the meaning of the card. It's also about our karma. It's also about, turning points. And it could be, it could be looked at as like a destiny fate card, but again, I see it as more of like free will, because you're the only one that can turn it, Well, if you want to be in the victim mentality, then what people do in that situation is they blame the outside world, and they blame parents, or they blame, puts the energy outside of themselves, which this card is trying to get us to go inside and look at the mirror. So the truth is that the outer world will always mirror back to you the sum total of all your beliefs and even the unconscious attitudes that you carry. So it's like that old Carl Jung quote that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So I tend to look at it as, we're fated to experience our past life misunderstandings and wrong conclusions about ourselves and life. But every step of the way, as we are facing those misunderstandings, we get to choose. We have free will. So it's free will and fate. And we can change our destiny by meeting our pain. And then from there, we have everything we need inside of us. The magician is all about knowing that we have all the tools to create a whole new reality. And that pretty much, we can, within reason, we can create anything that we want. Pretty much. So this card is all about being on the leading edge of your own karma and being the leader in your own life. This card is all about manifestation, anything you're trying to manifest. It's all about just knowing it's all in your hands. And notice how we have the lemon skate up here. So we have the infinity symbol. There's a lot of movement. This can look like an 8. It's very, very powerful. This is a sideways 8. This is the 8 of Swords. This is movement. So there's a lot of movement. So I think that the message is that we're not supposed to take in any victim consciousness or any blaming anyone outside of ourselves for what we're experiencing at all. Into 2021. That's the main message I'm getting here. The main message I'm getting is to take control of your power, look inside yourself for any false beliefs, and know that you're meant to discover them so that you can turn them around. That is your God-given right. That is your spiritual essence. That's who you are as a creator, and that we are all co-creating all the time. And that, it's your divine intelligence inside of you. If you don't like the word God, you can just use the word divine intelligence or universal laws of love and truth, or the universal wisdom. It's all the same. And know that that's inside of every single cell in our body. Every single cell of our body. We all will have everything that we need to create what it is that we need to take care of ourselves and to, meet our basic needs even. And if those things aren't happening in your life, that's because there's something inside that you're still needing to be very compassionate with, and it's just a misunderstanding, and it's mostly, I would think, well, it's mental and emotional, and it would be the thing that can get your world turning the way that you want to go. If you just figure out what that is, like discover what that little piece of material that says either, I don't know, something like I'm not good enough, or I'm too much, or I'll never get there, or the world is hopeless, or all these false beliefs. We have to remember that, yes, we have gone through hell this last 4 years, and yes, we have been in a bit of a hell realm, but the darkness was always there. It doesn't mean that this is something new and we don't have to worry about it, or that we should be worrying about it getting worse. The truth is that the darkness was always there underneath, and now it's just that we can see it. We're so globally interconnected. We can see everything going on in the world. But in our own personal lives, we don't have to be affected by people with warring mentalities. If we're not warring ourselves, if we're not wanting to kill others inside of ourselves, if we don't have that mentality going on inside of us, we don't need to experience that. What would we grow from or heal inside to have any type of like a war in our life? I mean, so you don't have to worry about things coming towards you just because the world looks like it's, going to hell. The truth is like I said, the darkness was always there. The worldwide corruption was always there underneath. And especially in the United States of America, the framers of our Constitution, they were slaveholders. They were slave owners. So we're just cleaning house. We are cleaning house. And no matter what country you may be in while you're listening to this, dictators and people who abuse their power, they are learning some lessons, because it's not going to work anymore. Things are shifting. Things are shifting tremendously. But we can see with these cards here, it's all an inside job. We always have to look into our own mirror when things aren't working out in our lives, and that will help us heal our self-esteem. This will help us heal our soul separations. This will help us do soul retrieval work. We always have to look inside for the false belief and go, well, hey, maybe it's not true. I mean, the information has been on the planet for years. We just have to look at it, and we have to look inside for all of the clues that are, for our personal lives. So I think that's it. Let me see, do I have any more? Let me just go through like some mundane, like what if this is just a mundane meaning for the day and not so like cosmic and soul, for soul healing. If I were to look at just the mundane with the Eight of Swords, of course we can see that this person is feeling stuck, is maybe even feeling isolated and hopeless and powerless, and like I said, like a victim. So if you know somebody that's feeling trapped, this could be like someone in your life, or this could be a little tiny piece of your soul substance that is up for healing. And my goodness, who wouldn't feel this way, being, knowing what we've been going through, going through this whole, plague, pandemic, where, if we want to stay safe, we really have to hunker down through the rest of this winter and maybe even in towards the spring. We might have to wear 2 masks and a shield and a hat and all kinds of glasses and goggles. We might have to wear all kinds of things just to go out and grocery shop in order to be safe. Who wouldn't feel restricted by this? So to me, the lesson is to have a lot of compassion for yourself, and to know that we will get through it. We're going to get through it, and we just need to care about each other. We need to be there for each other when we're in our hopeless or helpless moments. We need to let people know that they're not alone. And sometimes it's just, a text or a phone call. We don't have to let people feel isolated. There's no reason for it nowadays. It's too easy to connect. We don't have to, hoof ourselves through the snow to go check on our neighbors. So I think that's one of the main messages there on a mundane level, but it is a deeper soul issue as well. And then for the Wheel of Fortune, I think this is really just about take your free will, initiate your free will to check on people that you might be worried about, especially people who are living alone, especially people who are living alone, people who are isolated. I think that's what the message is. And then it might be like a good idea that you offer, or just you and your presence, just showing up, just being with the what is of the moment. And then sometimes you don't even have to say a word, but just, being on the phone to listen. It can be something like that. With the Magician, this is a really beautiful card for channeling. This is, the as above, so below, or the as within, so without card. So that would be just you showing up, might be all that needs to happen. And then if it's about manifesting, definitely, here's the obstacle and here are the keys. You can do it. You just have to find the place where there's a little bit of misunderstanding and an issue that keeps you stuck. And then you have the power to turn it around. It's always an inside job, but you're the one with the power. And the universe has the power all around you, and the universe is bound by law to receive you. So whatever it is that you're trying to manifest or you're working towards, you can do it. You will do it. This is the card of your inner will coming through to say, I will do it. And I will take all the choices I can to keep turning my own fate. And I'll keep working on wherever I feel stuck. And that's pretty much how you do it. Seriously. These cards can be looked at as a beautiful way to meditate every day by staying with what it is that you really, really want to experience, putting yourself in the experience of already having it, And then looking for the ways that you get distracted, and look for the ways where you shrink and make yourself small, or where you feel powerless. Because those are the only obstacles. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it. I will sign off and say Happy New Year's. Oh, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, restful, peaceful evening, for New Year's Eve, and wonderful day, of course. And I'll be back soon for New Year's Day. Yay. Okay, you guys, take good care. Bye.